In this particular video, we're going to talk about parts compatibility and the AR10 and what's going on there. Why is there no standardization for the Armorlight, or for any AR10 for that matter? And what parts are actually interchangeable? Alright, so the reason why when you go to AR10, every single company just runs off of this wild-ass, crazy standard. They kind of do what they want. None of the parts are interchangeable. What's going on? How did we arrive at this? Alright, so let's wind back. If you go to Brownells, there's the BR10, I believe is what they call it. It's the very first AR10. It's an A1 style. It's got a charging handle right up here. That's what we had for AR10s for quite a long time. The 90s comes along, this guy right here buys the company Armorlight, which is awesome because Armorlight is the OG. Regardless what you may think about Colt, Armorlight is what brought these rifles to us. So anyway, he buys the company. He starts putting out damn good products. Really, really quality products. Chrome line bolt carriers, chrome line barrels, the gas blocks are pinned on. We're talking about stuff that would be ready for active combat. Now, my earlier experience with AR-10s tell me that these can't handle a lot of rounds in a row without being cleaned. We're about to find that out again because we're running through this project. So as you know, that project is done, and it did hold true. For some reason, I don't know, like 100, maybe 200 rounds, somewhere in there, without cleaning it, I start having sporadic malfunctions, stovepipes, light extraction, that sort of thing. Now, it isn't as bad as my original Armorlight AR10. That one, I would break it open, and it would look like there was mud in the receiver. Maybe I was using the wrong lubricant back then, I don't know. But still, I don't know if, like, maybe carbon builds up on the chamber because of the style of action it uses, or what the deal is, because my SCAR don't have these problems. Anyway, yeah, I have to clean it quite frequently. I can only let it run like maybe 100, 200 rounds, and then I'm going to start having sporadic malfunctions. But my first AR-10, it was like 60 rounds silenced, and the rifle would be so dirty. You know, maybe I was doing something wrong back then, or maybe my rifle was broken, but it would be so dirty I would start getting short strokes. Basically, I needed a forward assist. Double feeds, crap like that, because it would change the carrier speed. Now, on suppressed, I was able to run 120 rounds without running into hiccups. It would still run past that, but then I'd start having occasional hiccups. I wouldn't get the 100% reliability. So anyway, that's my expectations for an AR-10. Keep it clean, she works great. They're super lightweight, you're good to go. Let it get dirty, they start hiccuping. Anyway, back to where I was going. So dude buys Armorlight. He starts putting out quality products. Really, really, really good products. Well, anyway, DPMS, I don't know if they were the first ones to copy or somewhere down the line. I'm not a historian. This is not a history lesson. I'm just taking a broad swing just so you kind of have an idea of what happened. So anyways, DPMS comes along. They're really close to this pattern. Let me pause for 1 second. I'm going to grab one of their receivers. So DPMS comes along, and obviously you can't copy the design part for part. Otherwise you're going to get, what is it? Not copyright. Anyways, there's laws against that. You can do a real similar design, but it's got to be slightly different. After a certain amount of time, the patents will expire, and then you could copy it from part for part. But they had a really awesome idea. So DPMS, they went with a milled receiver. Now, as you notice, the back of the receivers are different. I'll just roll in pictures so I don't have to just keep lifting up parts. So that was their first change. There was a couple other changes inside, like they took a different style magazine. They went with the SR25 style magazine. That's a whole nother story in itself, because the guy who originally worked at Armorlight went to Knight's Armament, and then he took AR-15 plus AR-10, came up with 25, so SR25. That's what he named it. Anyway, so that goes on. Then the 94 ban comes along. Well, what Armorlight did is they took pre-existing M14 magazines and they modified them. They just cut a little slot in there So you could take your $2 M14 magazine and you have a high capacity magazine that goes inside your rifle just by cutting a little square. Because you're not manufacturing high capacity magazines for the civilian market, you're taking pre-existing magazines and just making them work in your weapons platform. Well, that gave a different receiver style. See, this is the A series. The B series is the one I'm talking about right now. You can tell the difference between the two with this little bump right there. So, with your M14 magazines, it does not have an over travel stop like, say, on this SCAR magazine. In order for that over travel stop to work, you got to have the slot in the receiver so the magazine can go in there. It used a different style to stop it. The actual shape of the upper receiver, I believe it was, prevented the magazine from being over inserted. So Armorlight offered what I'd like to call normal capacity magazines. During a weapons ban, they offered premium rifles. They were really that good. And the 308 platform. So it was awesome. That was good to go. Well, anyway, the military came up with the SSAS program. Basically, the M110. That's the AR10 semi-automatic sniper rifle you guys all see at Knight's Armament. That one right there. Well, Armorlight competed for it. I don't know if they threw all their eggs in one basket or exactly how it went down. But basically, when they lost that military contract, the company got dissolved again. And that's a real shame, because if they would have won that military contract, there would be a standard for AR-10s, just like AR-15s. Now, I'm not saying Knight's Armament didn't deserve the contract. You know, maybe their system was better. Unfortunately, it didn't standardize everything, because if you go on their website and try to buy one of their firearms, we're talking like $29,000. That's insane. Nobody can buy that crap. It's irrelevant to us on the civilian market. So Armorlight lost that contract, which if they would have got that contract right now, all AR-10 patterns would be the same. You'd be like, I want an AR-10 part, and they would all be the same, just like an AR-15, because that's a military contract. Well, unfortunately, they lost that contract. So it did not standardize it, because nobody's going to go with the SR-25 pattern when you're talking about $30,000 for a frickin' rifle. So Knight's Armament got that. Then the company Armorlight basically got dissolved. It was sold off. At that point in time, it was in Illinois. Now it's in Texas. The person that bought it, I'm going to speculate here, but has no interest in the company at all. He just wanted his 3-gun rifles to have an Armorlight logo on there. So they dumped all designs, all except for one, which was their cheapest, like, entry-level AR-10 version. It's the A-style receiver, flat top. None of their gas blocks are pinned on anymore. They're all tactical. They're all, besides that one design, which was their entry-level rifle, which is never, ever, ever in stock anywhere, so clearly they don't care about it. Always they produce it a bunch to make money. They dumped all their target rifles. They dumped their 243 rifles. They dumped everything. They started from scratch, and they just started solely making rifles designed around 3-gun. Which is great if you like running a 308 and 3-gun. What? You're like, what? A 308 and 3-gun? That don't make sense. You want to run something with a small recoil. Yes, there's a heavy metal class where you can run 308, a 45, pump-action shotgun. Anywho, so they took something that's niche, which is the AR-10. They made it more niche by dumping a whole bunch of the previously existing designs. Then they made it even more niche by making it a 3-gun rifle. And then they even made it more niche because it's a 308 3-gun rifle. So I'm assuming their sales have to be just down there compared to what they could be. So that's why we don't have standardization in AR-10s. Because Armorlight did not get that military contract, because Knight's Armament charges just an insanely amount for their AR-10s, everybody just kind of does their own thing. Because who really cares? It doesn't matter. Rock River Arms has their own design. There's the LR308 pattern. You can't call it the DPMS design anymore because that company doesn't exist. Then you got the Armorlight pattern. So what exactly do we have for compatibility? Well, when you're talking about the LR308 design, one thing that's different is your barrel nut. It's got the same thread diameter, but it's a different thread count. I can't remember if it's coarser or if it's fine. So none of your Armorlight handguards are going to work on anything. I believe Aero Precision went with the DPMS design. So if you have an Aero Precision, it's also going to go with the LR308 pattern. So you don't have handguards. The next thing for compatibility. Your lower receiver, aside from these pins right here, everything is AR-15. Now, I still got to insert a magazine to confirm that the bolt catch is also AR-15. Or the mag catch. An internet forum told me that this is not AR-15, and because of everything that's going on right now, I spent almost $50 getting this bad boy. As you can see in this photo, no, this is an AR-15 bolt stop, so you can just use your AR-15 bolt stop, AR-15 fire control, AR-15 selector, pistol grip, even your little, the glove cover, trigger guard cover, AR-15. This is an AR-15 stock. Now, the buffer inside is different. I just put the stock on there for mock-up because obviously I have one coming, but I wanted something to hold it a little bit more. So I could run this stock, but I would have to run a different buffer. Now, your biggest compatibility issue, besides this barrel nut right here, is the barrel itself. To the whiteboard of knowledge. Alright, so, the DPMS bolt, right here, and this will be our bolt extension. I know it looks absolutely nothing like it, but we're going to pretend. Just use your imagination. So the DPMS bolt is 0.002 shorter than the Armorlight. The Armorlight bolt extends into the bolt extension 0.002 farther. You're like, well, hey, that's not a compatibility issue because you got 4 thousandths to play with, which is 0.004. Yes, you are correct. In a perfect world, you would have no compatibility issues. This is an LR308 barrel extension. As you notice, this is in the receiver. It fits just fine. No problems there. It chambers around. Here, I'll run some demonstration videos. Alright, so let's test it out. Here's a live 243 round, so if that freaks you out, pause the video right now and put on your Kevlar helmets and ballistic vests. We're going to guide it into the chamber. Beautiful lockup. Now we'll take it out. So the chamber's in spec, but it's on the tight side. Because if it was perfectly in spec, it would go in and out just like this. But this has never been fired, so maybe a couple of rounds that'll all work itself out. Update on that as well. Yes, after I fired a couple of rounds, it's no longer sticky. It moves baby smooth. Butter smooth. Never had any headspace issues. As a comparison to what it looks like when it's out of spec, I got some ammunition in here. Some of this might be out of spec because I didn't know that my diode went out of spec until I had ran the ammo in the M1A. And the M1A has such a much lighter bolt, all of a sudden it wasn't going into battery. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And my diode fell out of spec, so some of these cartridges are not to spec. The SCAR's bolt carrier is so freaking heavy, it doesn't matter if the round's out of spec or not, because it's just like, SCAR, smash! Allow rifle to go boom! And it just forces them into the chamber. So let's run through the mag and see if we can find one that's out of spec. That one was in spec. In spec. Oh, here's one out of spec. Oh my god, that one was way out of spec. So what you gotta do at this point is just mortar it against the ground. You put your finger on the charging handle, put pressure on it, and then beat the stock against the ground. That one was a little out of spec. Yeah, so those two that were way out of spec, that's what happens if your chamber's out of spec or if your cartridges are out of spec when it's too tight. Now where you will run into a problem, okay, so we got 0.004 to play with, right? If there's something called tolerance stacking, what that means is they have this to play with, so they could use that. So no matter what, there's a 0.002 difference. It's going to extend into the extension 0.002 farther. Well, because you have 4 thousandths to play with, there's a possibility that there's an extra 4 thousandths here, and there's an extra 4 thousandths here. Plus with the 0.002, or the 2 thousandths that you already have, we could be looking at a difference of 0.01. That is way out of spec. Now, even if I had a DPMS bolt and a DPMS barrel because of tolerance stacking, it's still possible to run out of spec, because each of them have 4 thousandths to play with, but you can only have a 4 thousandths difference total for it to close on a go gauge. So if they went too far, like let's say they did 3 thousandths, they were turning out their bolts and like, oh, that one's 3 thousandths off, while it's still in spec, we can send it out. And then someone's turning out a barrel extension like, oh, that's 3 thousandths off, but we can still send it out. Normally, if the barrel extension is perfect, with the bolt being 3 thousandths off, it will still close, it will be in within 4 thousandths, you're good to go. But if both of them are off, now you're 6 thousandths off. You're outside of a go gauge, you're going to have problems. So even using DPMS parts on DPMS parts, or LR pattern on LR pattern, there's still the possibility that it's going to be off. Oh yeah, the moral of the story. It doesn't matter if you match Armorlight with Armorlight and LR308 with LR308, you can still have headspace issues. It's always a roll of the dice. However, if you mismatch, they're already this far off. So you're already 2 thousandths close to the 4 thousandths mark. Now, the right way to do this would get 3 gauges. Your field, go, and no-go. I'll have a link in the description down below where you can buy those gauges if you'd like. But if you're broke, the best way to test it is how I demonstrated. See if it can feed a round in, and see if it gets hung up when you extract it. Obviously, if you have brand new parts, it might be kind of rocky, but it should come out. And then to test, to make sure your chamber isn't too big, you can use Scotch tape, which measures 1.5. So, if you can put 3 pieces of Scotch tape on the back of the cartridge and your bolt still goes into battery, then your chamber's too big. Then I strongly recommend at that point you spend the money, get your go no-go gauges and check it with a gauge, and then send it back if need be. Now the next difference is the gas tube. Not the diameter. What it is the Armorlight gas tube runs just a little bit farther back. Is it significant? No. If I start having short stroke issues, then yeah, I'll change out the gas tube. But I really don't think it's that big of an issue because DPMS makes their firearms run just fine with this length of gas tube. Great update on that as well. Yes, the gas tube did not make a bit of difference. I have the perfect amount of gas. It is ejecting exactly how it should. Now, with the longer gas tube, you might get a little bit higher bolt velocity. But what it's mainly doing is sitting in the gas key longer to help with the initial extraction, pulling the cartridge out of the barrel. But to be honest, my extractor lets go of the cartridge before I run out of gas. So it'll shoot the bolt back without a casing on it, and the casing's still in the barrel when I do get a stuck case. So even with that shorter gas tube, it still works totally fine. Yeah, when my gun gets really dirty, I start having problems, but that wouldn't be fixed by that. Because you don't want to be overgassed and you don't want to be undergassed. And right now I'm in the perfect, like, it worked out perfectly. I have nice, clean ejections. So, no, the gas tube didn't make a difference. And again, it's not really for pushing through when it's dirty. It's for helping getting the cartridge out of the barrel. To get it past that first unlock, because the tube stays inside the key longer, keeping this under pressure, giving it more torque or force or whatever the hell you want to call it on the initial extraction. But my extractor isn't strong enough to be able to hold past that anyway. You know, maybe I could change that out and that would make a difference. I don't think so because it damn near rips off the base of the case. Like, it tears a chunk off of the brass when it slips off of it. It's not like it's just popping off. It's removing brass. It's not like the gas key is different on the bolt carrier at all. They still come to the front of the bolt carrier, so no matter what, they're still under the same amount of gas for the same amount of time. Armorlite just keeps their bolt under gas a little bit longer. So if I'm seeing like my cartridges ejecting at this angle, or it seems like I'm not getting enough gas, then yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is change out the gas tube and try a new gas tube. As far as the brake goes, 5/8 by 24, standard equipment.